you stand out effectively in a very competitive work environment. So on that note, on behalf of the team, I want to say a very good welcome. We are really excited to have you here, and I promise you, you will not regret it. So we have on the call some really very experienced and highly passionate and people who have succeeded and stood out in their workplace with us on the call. They will be sharing with us their experience and teaching us to how we can navigate this career dynamic. So I encourage you to sit back, relax as we run through the show. So just to kick off the event, we will want to begin very quickly with a little bit of safety rules. If Simeon can help me have that, I'll run through that. So yeah, that's a program, just a 2-hour program. So we'll run straight through it. But let's get to before we do the safety rules, we'll just do the second stanza of the national anthem. Normally when we have our programs, we begin with the national anthem with a prayer, and we want to make the second stanza of the national anthem our prayer. So it will cause a lot of interference. I recommend that. I don't know if you're able to unmute, but if you can, please do that, and let's just say the prayer together. Okay, so if that's possible, I'll just say at the count of 3, we will begin and kick off the prayer. So 1, 2, 3. O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youth to know. In love, honesty, grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Thank you very much. Thank you. A virtual round of applause for us. Thank you very much for that open prayer. We will ride on straight away. So we just have a little bit of safety precautions we want to share with you. This is a virtual event. And because we want to ensure that we have a smooth event, we would like that you please mute your mic unless you're being called upon to speak. We also want you to also turn off your video. You do not need to turn off your videos. Not by that, I mean to the audience. I mean, just so that we can maintain a little bit of decorum in the meeting. And if you have a question, we encourage that you use the chat box to type your question, unless you are able to. During the question and answer session, you want to speak, you can raise your hand, use the raise hand button, beg your pardon, and then you will be called upon to speak. Use the chat box to see for comments, queue for questions if you have a question. And please, 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 even though you are using a headset or something, try to make sure you can still hear if there's a fire alarm going on around you. And then be alert of your environment and ensure that you are staying safe and you're alert of what's happening around you, so that we can indeed have a very successful event. All right, so without further ado, I would like to beckon just to open the meeting to actually invite, I think I have the section chair on the call, Engineer Daniel Abia, just to give us the opening remarks, and thereafter, he would also recognize some of the board members on the call and some senior members if we have them on the call. And once he's done with that, we will jump straight into the keynote address that will be taken by the ED Total Energies, Mrs. Ifekwe. She is currently the Executive Director, People and Country Services at Total Energies EMP Nigeria Limited. So without further ado, I will quickly invite our section chair, Engineer Daniel Abia, to the podium. Over to you, Engineer Dan.
Thank you, Mrs. Thornberry, and good afternoon, HSP members, and to our very respected and distinguished panelists. So welcome to what I will call launch our career webinar. And we are glad that in the call we are about 50 and it's still counting. Let me start by letting us know that the topic for today's career webinar was carefully selected We went through membership survey and to really understand what our members, their expectations and aspirations in their various careers. And this topic has scored almost the highest, navigating career dynamics. Of course, we know that our workplace is a highly competitive environment, and there is need for our members to really understand how to navigate through their career dynamics. And that was the first hurdle, and then the second hurdle was to headhunt, I would say, who should be the panelists. I would like to sincerely appreciate Mrs. Evie Ifekwe, the Executive Director, People and Country Services, Total Energies, and my boss at office. And Madam, thank you for joining and accepting to play this role despite your very, very busy schedule. I'd like to also warmly appreciate Mr. Steve Oje, the Resourcing and Talent Manager for Seplat Energies. Thank you, and by extension, Michael Onyeri. Thank you, Mr. Steve, for joining in, as well as Mr. Makri Isoboye. So we have very seasoned HR specialists. I would say a combined hands-on experience in human resources over 70 years. So let's sit back and let's get ready to learn, unlearn, and relearn. I'm sure the panelists, our distinguished panelists, will do justice to key components of a strong personal brand. I'm sure I look forward to tips for effective networking, and also how you and I can define our unique value and proposition. They'll speak around organizational culture, how to align with each of our employers and companies and organizational culture. So I can assure you that at the end of this launch our career webinar, we'll all be equipped on how to navigate our career dynamics. Thank you, and good afternoon. Madam Tumberry, please, you could just help me check in the chat for our senior members and section directors. I can see Nkese Essien, good afternoon, Engineer Nkese Essien, for joining in. Madam, just keep me posted when our directors join into this call.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, SC Section Chair. That was a warm welcome. And although he's recognized and welcomed the senior members and board members, I want to, on behalf of the entire team, welcome you, our distinguished audience. This event will not be complete without you being here. So everyone that is on this call, you are indeed a very esteemed and distinguished audience, and we are really glad to have you on the call. So you are welcome. So we are doing very well with time right now based on our plan. We want to jump right straight into the keynote presentation, which, like I mentioned, will be led by Mrs. Ifekwe, the ED People and Country Services, Total Energies EMP Nigeria Limited. Before she comes up onto this stage, I will just quickly run through her profile so that we can have an idea of who indeed we are talking about. So I'll just read that very quickly. So Mrs. Ifekwe is, like I mentioned earlier, the Executive Director of People and Country Services at Total EMP Nigeria Limited. In this position, she is responsible for people communication, CSR, and medical services. And she's also the chairman of the IPS Uniport, most of us are aware of that, the Governing Council, and the TPNG's Closed Pension Fund Company. She joined the company then at Elf Petroleum in 1997, and before her appointment as executive director, she had led the company's HR team in several and various interesting capacities, because that is her domain. She was at one point in time the chief talent developer from 2019 to 2021, and between 2017 to 2020, she has occupied a variety of positions, including the GM HR joint venture assets, and she's where she has the responsibility for Port Harcourt and other operational onshore and offshore assets. Before joining Total Energy Company, she worked with AfriBank, which is now Polaris Bank. That was way back between 1987 and 1997. So you can know the kind of experience that we have with you on board this morning. And at there, she actually she held management positions, which also covered several aspects of the HR, and also in different departments, retail banking, accounts, expenses management, and so. She is a volunteer for Health Emergency Initiative and serves on the advisory board for PackBridge Fisher Education Foundation. She's a certified trainer, so you're in safe hands, because when she's even a certified trainer and is talking to us about this, trust us, she understands what she is. And good enough, she's also the coach for Total Energies. Who better could we have had to actually give us the keynote address and this? So on that note, I would want to warmly welcome onto the virtual lectern, Ms. Sisi Fequet, for her keynote presentation. Thank you so much, madam, for honoring us. The stage is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to have this moment with you. It's an honor to be with the SPE family. And I would say all protocols observed, recognizing the senior people in the house, senior membership, and all of the SPE membership. I know that this is a distinguished body of engineers and other professionals in the oil industry. So really, I don't take this moment for granted. I think I've been privileged, and I appreciate the fact that I can share with you, some of the things I've learned along my journey. Managing people, developing people, training people, and promoting people, progressing their careers as well. And I hope what I share with you this morning, when you take it, or afternoon already, when you take it with you, you will be able to find some changes, that you want to see in your career as you progress. Well, I don't have slides. I know that the engineers are used to slides, but I have 10 minutes. If I put slides, I will not be able to cover what I have to say in 10 minutes. First of all, I would say that the employment environment you find yourself, the oil industry is highly competitive. So to be in this body and in this space, it means that you have competed well. And it means you do have qualities that enabled you to be here. So first of all I need you to understand you have to be confident in yourself. And that confidence is going to come from within and from nowhere else. So in navigating your careers, believing in yourself is very, very important. So you need to know that and believe in yourself. And then thereafter, I'll give you some things. First of all, I'll say what I call ABC, because I need to give you in simple, nuggets that you can take away and you will recall. So number one is aptitude. And aptitude is about technical competence, is about knowledge, is about what you know, your skills, and your training. Without aptitude, we will not be here. We operate in an industry that is high technologically risk-oriented, and therefore we really need people who know what they're doing. So you would find that at every level, to be competitive, the first thing is you must be competent. Very important. You must be competent, technically, professionally competent. You cannot compromise that. And then the second one is behavior. So behavior is about attitude. Aptitude gets you here. Attitude keeps you there. So behavior is very, and when we talk about behavior, we're looking at, how you accept your space, how you are able to work with others, because one person cannot put together a development project. If you look at the way the energy sector is highly integrated. Therefore, it needs people who have the attitude and recognize that they alone cannot do it, and they are working in a team. There's no one man that has the full scope of knowledge. The oil industry itself, the energy sector, has more than 500 disciplines and still counting specializations. So you can see that one person cannot do the work. So then the third one is what I call communication. That's why I said it's ABC. One is aptitude. Number two is behavior. And that's where you look at the attitude. And then the third is communication. And when you talk about communication, you talk about, because we're saying navigating career dynamics, your ability to market yourself, to market your ideas, to market your knowledge, to get your points through, to interface and interact in this space in a way that people understand. Because no matter how brilliant you are, if people do not get you, you are the only one brilliant to yourself. People need to understand and accept and use what you are bringing out for them to be able to accept you and recognize you. So you must have the ability to communicate what you are able to do and what you are doing, to concretize in a language that people understand. And sometimes it's very simple language. You know, I know most people in SP, there are lots of professions here, even HR, accounting, but all of us are really highly technical professions. And sometimes we just feel knowing my profession is enough. It's not enough. Communicating it, understanding who is your client, who are your stakeholders. This is what communication is really about. Is your stakeholder management. Communication is your stakeholder management. Who are your stakeholders? Who are the people taking decisions about your work? Who are the people taking decisions about your career? Who are the people taking decisions about accepting you? Because as you progress some points, you usually start as an individual engineer, an officer, analyst, doing your work, accountant, and then you progress to begin to lead. And leadership is not just about people gathering, you give orders. It's about subjects. You begin to lead, either in knowledge, in expertise, or people. And that requires you to be able to communicate. So those three things, if you get them at the beginning, is very good. Then the fourth one is dependability, which is then the help you need. Because we're talking about navigating your career dynamics. Can I do it all by myself? D is dependability. Who do you need to depend on? Who is your support system? Who can help you along the way? You know, because we all do need help. You know, who is your role model? Who do you want to look up to? You know, it's very, very important. Once you have this in place, who do I go to when I need advice? Who would be my confidant? This is about progressing my career, navigating career dynamics in a competitive environment. When I am challenged, who do I go to for help? So that's the ABCD, which I was talking about. So once you have these four in place and they are right, you are ready to go. You will compete very well because you do know that even by being in this space, you have the aptitude. Then you've got to have the right attitude. You need to know and respect other people, that you are not alone. And everybody's discipline is important. Because when you go into a room as an engineer, you disrespect every other person and respect only yourself, you're not going to get anyone to work with you. And you are not going anywhere. No matter how brilliant you are not the only brilliant person. So that's the first thing, understanding that we are all brilliant. You're not the only one. So when you do that, it humbles you. And you then really respect people. And that's when help comes. You know, people are ready to work with you. You will find that your projects are flourishing because people are there for you when you need them. You know, your interfaces are working. People go out of their way to support you. And it means you also go out of your way to support others. And then, of course, communication. This is, with all due respect to engineers, we are trained where myself, I was raised and educated in Nigeria. And those days in the 80s and in the 70s, we just believed that you either liked math or you didn't. If you liked math, you were an engineer, it was enough. Math is not enough. The communication skills that the lawyers have, you need it. The communication skills that the HR people have, the ability to communicate in a very simple language and communicate across all disciplines for people to understand whatever they are saying, to document a policy that applies to everybody, you need it. So you do need what other people have, and communication is important. If Steve Jobs could not communicate, nobody would use Apple. It's not just enough that you have a device. You have to be able to simplify that device, explain it in a way that everybody is attracted to you. Then you make yourself a brand. Because navigating your career dynamics means that you become a little brand in your sector, in your team, in your departments, in your company. People know that I can go to this guy. He can deliver. He can do this. He can do that. They know you for something. So communication enables you to build your professional brand for who you are. And then dependability. You know that sometimes you need a coach, sometimes you need a mentor, sometimes you need help, and it means that you're also the kind of person who is ready to receive feedback, even if it's not palatable. When people know you will receive negative feedback, they will give it to you. And that's how you improve. And they know that you will receive that feedback and you will find that there are props that are pulling you up because they know you are somebody they can invest in. So when you have ABCD, it means that you demonstrate that you can invest in me. And that's what pulls people up in their career. Because people up are looking for people to invest in and to replace them. So they can say, this one will do it. And that's what happens. And invisibly, you find that you are being pulled up along the way in your career. Sometimes you may not understand, but these are the four simple things which you need to do. After that, of course, we'll talk about work deliverables, consistency, accountability, and responsibility. All of these things are important. But then I don't want to talk about things you already know, that when you're working, you've got to deliver on your objectives, all those things, they are simple. I just wanted to focus on the ABCD that can help you navigate your career. Number one is your aptitude, you have it. Number two is your behavior, which is your attitude along the way. Number C, your ability to communicate and understand your stakeholders. And number four, dependability. Who are those that will help you? How do you connect with them? How do you receive what they have to offer you? So that with that, your career, they can also help to pull up your career along the way. I think I'll stop here. Maybe as my other colleagues will contribute and as you ask questions, other things will come out as well. But I hope with ABCD, you have taken the basic things you need to move your career up.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Oh my God, that was really good. I mean, the shocker for me was that you are not the only brilliant person. Yeah, those of us are thinking that we are really super smart, but guess what? You're not the only brilliant person. And then the ABCDs, aptitude, behavior, communication, dependability, ABCD of navigating your career in a competitive environment. That couldn't have been said any better. It's not only about technical competence, it's also your attitude and your ability to communicate what you can do, communicating to your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders you have around you? Are you able to communicate to them? And then can you be dependable? And can your boss give you something and go to sleep and know that he doesn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and chase after you? I mean, awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Efikwe. And for that to be coming from the ED people, let me get that very right. For that to be coming from the ED people and country services, trust me, she knows a lot of what she's talking about. I told you this launch hour event is really very packed and we'll keep it on going. So thank you so much, ma'am. We are super, super thankful for that nuggets, ABCD of navigating your career. Wonderful. So guys, we are moving on really very well. We are getting to the peak of also the meeting, which is now the panel session. Now, we are going to be lucky too to also have Mrs. Efikwe on the panel session. I'll just quickly introduce the rest of the other panelists, just so that you can have an idea of who it is that we have on the panel. So I want to introduce the panelists, our first panelist that's going to join the session. He's Dr. Steve Ojei. I have heard about him so much, but I haven't had the opportunity to meet him. In fact, I heard about him before I actually knew who he was, the person that we were talking about. So, I mean, I'm really very glad to have the opportunity to listen to him and hear him. Dr. Steve Ojei has the BSc, MSc in economics, and a doctorate in social sciences with an MBA with specialization in finance. He is also a fellow in the Chartered Institute of Personal Development. And he is also a member, Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. He's a fellow, Chartered Institute of Mediators and Conciliators. And he also is bringing today on board with his over about 30 years experience in human resource management. And this spans across consulting, the consulting industry, the manufacturing, and the oil and gas industry. He is currently in CEPLAT, the General Manager HR, and until that point, I was there until recently, the Employee Industrial Relations and Employee Communications Manager for Shell companies in Nigeria. He's happily married and blessed with 3 lovely kids. So we are honored and very pleased to have you on board, sir. Welcome, Dr. Steve Ojay. The next on our panel is someone also who I've worked with for a while, and on that very short notice, he willingly agreed to join us on this panel. So we are really very grateful to have Mr. Makri Isoboye Afanya on the call. He is not only a HR consultant, he's a writer, he's an author, he's a podcaster, and a coach. And he provides support on a lot of HR activities. He currently runs a coaching program called Script to Stage, where he coaches individuals that are getting interested in translating their book ideas on content and related materials from abstract to reality. He's written a lot of poems, eulogies, expression of thoughts, speeches. Those of you that don't know him, I think he will also probably share his podcast handle with us and we can follow him. He's also an author. He's also authored many books too, and his books are generally about the thoughts captured in a creative style that appeals to readers. He also runs a masterclass that helps clients go through a journey of discovering unique ways of expressing their thoughts so that people can translate that abstract thing into reality. He's also, I've talked about his podcast, which is titled The Word Cafe Podcast with Max, and he has over 120 episodes and over 8,000 downloads. So we'll be hearing also from him. Thank you very much, Mr. Makri, for honoring our invitation to be here. I will then very quickly introduce the moderator of the session, who is none other than Mrs. Lydia Omoyeni. She works with Cypher Crescent and is a seasoned HR professional with over 7 years experience. She has she's occupied different roles as a HR analyst, and she has good specialty in integrating people experience and best practices, especially around employee relations. She's currently the Deputy Human Resource Manager in Cypher Crescent, where she uses her skill to manage employee talent recruitment, and also culture. She's led the development of HR management application, and prior to joining Cypher Crescent, she had experience, a stint in the banking industry before she joined the oil and gas services. She is a very self-starter person, passionate, and also very committed to delivering excellently in line with her goals and achievements. She's married and blessed with children. So thank you so much, Mr. Moyeni. I would want to hand over to you right now to just call the panelists onto stage. Simeon, if you can also put the spotlight on the panelists so that the panel session can begin. Thank you so much. We have approximately 40 minutes for the panel session. So sit back and then let's get it going. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Moyeni.
Thank you very much, Madam Tombari. I hope I can be heard and seen.
Yes, please go ahead, ma'am. We can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, SP Port Harcourt section. Thank you for the privilege for being part of this insightful meeting. I don't take it lightly, and I appreciate. Salutes to the leadership and planners of this meeting. Good afternoon to the panelists. It's a great pleasure to be moderating this event and learning from you firsthand. You know, as we already know, the theme for the event is navigating career dynamics for standing out, how we can navigate it in a competitive environment, especially in this time that we find ourselves. And this is particularly interesting to me because of the challenges that confronts the day-to-day, that confronts the employee on a day-to-day basis. So especially in a fast-paced and highly competitive job market where simply having the right skills is, it's not enough, like we've already heard from the facilitator and the key speaker, so we need to know how we can, we need to understand how we can navigate through the office policies, through the limitations that confront the employees, through the discriminations, through the rapid technological advancements and other limitations. So this is why we have here with us today the best of the best, that will provide us with valuable insights and strategies for navigating these dynamics and standing out in a competitive environment. Seeing that we have heard the key speaker, keynote speaker address us on the ABCD of how to navigate these challenges, we would like to quickly hear from Mr. Steve and Mr. Makary. 2 minutes each, sirs. Maybe we'll begin with Mr. Makary. Can you give us an overview of this subject? Provide us with more clarity and information on how we can navigate our way, especially for starters, even for mid-level, and as well as senior people, how you can scale through these limitations. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you
Good
can hear me.
afternoon. Yes, please.
All right. It's amazing being in the midst of this giant. When I've been listening to Madam Ifekwe describing the ABCs, I was like, this lady is mathematical in her approach, as in simplifying that mighty subject into 3 or 4 aspects that at the snap of your finger, you just understand where she's going. And also an honor having Mr. Ode here also in, talking with them. It's amazing. I want to say a very big thank you to SPE for having me. Now, navigating, for you to navigate, first of all, you have to understand your coordinates. Where am I coming from? Where am I going? Mathematically speaking, when you want to move, you take that point. Where am I presently and where do I want to get to? So that is where we should start from when you look at career. You're getting into an industry, you're getting into a space, you want to become an authority, you want to become somebody to be reckoned with. First of all, where are you? That's where you need to start from. Where are you? And riding on what Madam Ifekwe just placed before us, the ABCs, you need to understand that. Your aptitude, behavior, your communication, then are you dependable? So in other words, you need to hone these skills, build these skills on your way. But bear in mind, it is a strategy. You are working in an environment that is also stratified, levels. So you're not in a hurry. You don't have to be in a hurry. You need to give yourself that time. You need to give yourself that, should I say, believe in yourself and give yourself that time. Okay, by this time next year, I want to get to this place. If you want to get to that place, you have to be intentional. Being intentional, it means you have found a gap. How do I fill this gap in terms of competency and all of that? So you need to put all of this in perspective. Then you begin to find your way, within this space. And I must say this not to jump the gun. You are in an environment that has a lot of politics, humanly speaking, what we call organizational politics. You must understand how to move in that atmosphere, building formidable relationships, and also using that as a platform to climb. I think I'll stop here, not to also give my colleagues the opportunity also to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seems like there's a lot more to come from you. We can't wait. Thank you for that info, the section. Thank you. Mr. Steve, please, can you just in 2 minutes give us a summary and overview of how we can navigate our way through these limitations?
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody. And when my sister has spoken, Evie, so what do you want me to say again? And so Boye has added to it. So just to reinforce some of the messages that came from Evie and further opened up by Esoboye. Around attitude, most of you will know that even when we hire, we always say that you can train for skills, but you cannot train for attitude. So what they didn't teach you at home, it's difficult to teach you at work. So increasingly, we focus on getting people with the right attitude, knowing that it's easier to actually train them for skills. And she also made a point around communication. Communication is such that most of you as technical people, in most cases, like she actually also highlighted, you've grown up knowing your modeling, all your technical work. But as you go to senior level, that's no longer enough. What you need is to be able to just communicate, because to lead without effective communication, you are going nowhere. To be able to lead those people, what you need to be able to get into their hearts, where you can now, people say, you first of all have to have people's hearts before you ask for their hand. To get those people's hearts, and that connection is about the ability to communicate. And because she has put it actually in those everyday skills. And that is to say that if you struggle, like most of us in technical, if you really struggle with communication and you know a Toastmasters club around your area, please join one, because that is an informal way, a very safe way to practice your speaking skills, communication skills, feedback skills that she actually also talked about. So, but broadly speaking, you can't really navigate through careers when you don't have the skills. So that is the focus of my own conversation. Do you actually have a goal, for example? Do you have a goal yourself? Do you know what you want out of your career? Because otherwise, if you don't know what you want, anywhere we do, but once you have a goal, then that helps you to begin to sharpen it. Do you know your knowledge gap? Do you know your knowledge gap? Do you know what you know and the gap that exists for you? So that is very, very important. Do you have a plan to be able to get to bridging the gap you have to where you want to go? You want to be able to be a general manager in your area. Do you know the gap between where you are today and where that direction is? And what is your plan to doing that? What kind of education do you want to give yourself? What kind of training do you want to give yourself? What skills are you going to be able to learn yourself? Are you depending on your various organizations to equip you with the skills? Or are you intentional about spending your own money and not be waiting for organization to give you those new skills? What opportunities are you putting in place to be able to practice those new skills? Are you making yourself available for projects that are available? Are you visible to the organization for them to know that there are other things you know beyond the primary work that you do today? And the final part for me is, if there's anything COVID taught us, is actually the need for adaptability. Yeah. The engineering or the technical skills you had yesterday, are they still fitting today? The ones that will come tomorrow, are they also going to be able to fit? So what are you going to do about your own person for you to be flexible enough to adapt as the world changes? No matter how smart you are, if you are not adaptable, you can't be innovative. And if you are not innovative, you can't feature in today's world. And that is what we're asking of you. So to say you want to navigate through careers is essentially to understand yourself, to know the goal that you have set for yourself, to know the path you have to follow to achieve that goal. And it is acquisition of skills that will equip you to be able to get to that goal. Every other thing is secondary. And of course, if you can arm it with those habits that Evie has talked about, good communication, being dependable for people to count on you, and more importantly, having the right attitude to learning, to leading, to taking on responsibilities in the organization. Because we are now so caught up with so much challenges in our organization that sometimes you are looking for people to come out and be counted. Is that right attitude that will make you to come out and be counted and help the organization deliver on the very challenging projects and opportunities that we see today? So again, I hope I haven't taken more than the 2 minutes, but as you ask questions, hopefully that can help us bring a bit more insights that I have seen has helped quite a lot of people to have very successful careers. Back to you, Lydia.
Wow. Wow. In 2 minutes, we got loads of information. Thank you very much, sir. It was a whole lot. Thank you. We'll just dive straight into the meat for the session. I will begin with 1 second, please. My system is giving. Okay, that's fine. I'll begin with Mrs. Evie. I hope I pronounced that rightly.
It's
Okay,
Evie. It's not Evie, it's Evie.
Oh, Evie.
Evie.
Evie. Apologies, ma'am.
It's fine, it's fine.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so in understanding the organizational culture, the impact in organizational culture. So how can understanding it impact the career success and advancement?
Okay.
How can it impact it, please?
I think it's very important for everyone in an organization. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. But ma'am, we have about just 3 minutes, to
it's
address
okay.
that, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. In an organization, it suggests that you are in an organization. In an organization, there are processes that are put in place to help people navigate their careers. The truth is, not all of the people believe in those processes, but they are designed to assist the employees. So you're asking, how can you in an organization, you understand, navigate your career? You must first understand what processes have been put in place in that organization to help you. So very simple, there are 2 processes that are very commonly ignored by employees. Number 1, human resources. Number 2, line manager. I'm a very practical person. I hope it helps you, because like I said, as an HR person, you learn to communicate in very simple languages and in a very simple language that people can understand. So processes are designed. You usually have HR to support you. You have your line manager. But many times, people disregard these 2 strong pillars that can promote their career, give them support, because maybe they feel they can't trust the system. If you will get benefit from the system, you must trust the system. Because it's in trusting the system, you actually identify where there are failures. If you don't trust the system, you don't use the system, you cannot validate that it's a failure. Because it's when you have trusted, use the system, it doesn't work, you can then give feedback to the organization to say, I followed the process, I use the system, it doesn't work. And then there will be change. But when you don't trust it and you don't use it, you have not yourself prove to yourself that the system is not working. So I think the first step is understand what are the pillars to enable you progress, to develop you, and to promote your career within that organization. Then number 2, use them and see whether it works. And when it doesn't work, give feedback. Don't go to union or go to friends. Don't go to gossip in the corridor. It won't help you. Give feedback to those structures and institutions. Give feedback to your line manager. Give feedback to HR. Give feedback to whatever support system has been designed so that they know that they have to improve what needs to be done. Understand that they have a job to do the way you have a job to do, to build an oil installation. They are paid to ensure you succeed in your career. So, if you want to talk about that, that's 1 in the organization. Then number 2 is shine your eye. You need to be quite observant. I talked about choosing role models, right? In an organization, don't exist in a silo. Be open-minded and you look around to see, who are the people growing? What are they doing differently? What can I emulate in their approach to work? Some of these things are these things that we've talked about, really doing well, standing out, being available, being dependable. You then need to ask yourself, do your own self-audit. Am I all these things? But in an organization, you look at the people who have succeeded and you ask, what have they done? In my company, there's what we call a masterclass. So we started it a few years ago where we take people at the point they are retiring and they've really achieved, professionalism to a high level. They have progressed their career to a high level. Then we have a masterclass with them. In that masterclass, we ask them questions. How did you go from an engineer to be an expert, to be a subject leader, to be a company representative, to become a director? And they will tell you along the way what helped them to progress. You know, so those kind of things help. This kind of events help people a lot. Don't encourage your membership. They should be present at events like this because you do learn a lot, and it helps you in any organization. Learning from people really helps you. An organization is a body of people. It's not one person, it's all of us. So an organization is the right environment to learn. And let me come back again. Number one, look at the processes that have been put in place, test them. 2, give feedback when it doesn't work. And then 3, learn from the environment, learn from people, watch people, look at what works and try to emulate those things that work. And then be part of engagements. You learn a lot from that.
Wow. Wow, I was taking my notes. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Give the system a chance and give feedback. Learn from the environment and align with the people. Align with people who are succeeding. Ask questions. Attend professional events. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for that apt response. Mr. Steve, I will quickly just like to get clarity on this. Talking about personal brands, we would like to know what the key components of what of a strong personal brand. We'd like to know the key components of strong personal brands and how the participants can define their unique value proposition. In 3 minutes, sir, if you can provide insight to that.
Okay, so thank you. So the concept of authenticity is such that you need to be true to yourself. You can't copy somebody else, because in an attempt to copy somebody else, you may not be consistent, and therefore people might begin to now see you as fake. So by being authentic means that people will now know you for who you are. And in so doing, you begin to make your own leadership style based on who you are. So the question, therefore, is, if you go back to the Johari window, the Johari window is one model that we use in knowing ourselves. There's an aspect of you that beams searchlight on you, where you can say, what is it about me that others know about me that I do not know about? The same way, Johari window, when you do that assessment, tells you what is it about you that you know about yourself but others don't know. So that is for you to now tell people about it. But in terms of that self-awareness, it's for people to know who you are, and you can build on that characteristics of you for effective leadership. If, for example, you know that we talk about, my sister Evie talked about communication. If you know you struggle, for example, in terms of your oral communication, and you know that you need it to get to the next level, one is for you to be able to work on yourself. But even though that has limitation, it may not be as well spoken as Obama, for example. You can build on other skills to be able to influence people, to be able to get people to follow you. So that personal brand is about that understanding yourself, to know that as much as you have opportunities to grow in areas where you fall short, and you still recognize that you have limitations, but you need to always focus and reinforce on those areas where you know you are strong personally, and not try to copy other people. So personal brand is important, particularly when you can actually also go back to the model she talked about. Dependability. Can people count on you? Do you help people, for example? Those are those personal brands. When people are saying, anytime you're looking for somebody who will get a job done, will they remember you? Will you be the first name to be remembered? It has nothing to do with how flashy you are, how handsome you are, how beautiful you are. It's just that at any point in time, when they are looking for people to be counted on, can they count on you? If they are looking for a subject matter expert on a particular area, will they remember you? Or they're just seeing you as a generalist? Those are personal brands. If they are looking for somebody who will go out of his or her way to come to work on Sunday, on Christmas Day, to deliver a project, will they remember you? Or you will say, that's my free time. Those are personal brands. And those are little things that will differentiate you from the crowd. Remember, somebody made a model to say water boils at 100 degrees. Well, when it's 99 degrees, it doesn't boil. You just take that 1 degree more to boil. So what will differentiate you in a career is just that extra, one bit of extra will make people recognize you and know that when you are looking for somebody in every specific area, say to yourself, can they count on me? Can they see me as a person who help my colleagues to become better, who complete my colleagues, or my focus is on competing against them? Your job is to complete your colleagues and make them better. Do you do that? Those are personal brands. And you can go on and on and on and on. At the end of the day, it comes back to that same attitude. Attitude to say, I am a workerpreneur in this company. I make the difference. People come up to me. People can count on me. Things flow to me. If you are looking for the go-to person in the organization, it's me. Go-to person in every situation. They remember you. That is that personal brand as the person that can be counted on no matter what.
Wow.
Back to you.
Wow. Thank you, sir. How dependable are you? So your attitude is your personal brand. How available you are, how accountable you are, how visible are you? Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's very insightful. Okay, we'll go to Mr. Makri. We'll just be taking the questions around like that. Mrs. Evie, I got it right. Please, we'll be coming back to you and also to Mr. Steve.
You got it right.
Thank you, ma'am. So we're just going to Mr. Amakwe, we just talked about personal brand and all of that. So in line with that, Mr. Amakwe, how can the participants identify and approach their mentors and sponsors to further their career growth? How, you are new, you are in a system, or you are new to a career line. How do you even identify who to point to you, who you can shadow from? And then, so that you can make advancements in your career growth,
Right.
to navigate the limitations we're talking about.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I like that last statement. You're not competing with your colleague, but you're meant to complete your colleague. Thank you, Mr. Oji, for that. I mean, it's quite inspiring. All right. To the subject of mentoring, I would like to look at it from this window. The word mentor was first a noun before it became a verb. I will explain. The story of Odysseus, the Trojan War, when he was embarking on the Trojan War, that's Greece and all of that, going to war. He thought of who to keep his son with and his palace. And he saw one person. The person's name was Mentor, the word we're calling now Mentor. And he placed his son and his palace under the care of Mentor. Now, over the years, the way language travels, and they pick that word mentor, and now mentor means somebody who possesses this wisdom that you can mirror yourself after and all of that. So that's the origin of it. So how do I identify? Odysseus identified someone who was dependable. We go back again to what Madam Evie pointed out earlier, who had the ability to communicate, who was disciplined, who also knew what it meant to keep something together, complete it, as it were. And he put his son under that person's care, more or less, I want you to mirror yourself after Mentor. So for you to pick a mentor in your organization, or not even without your organization, not necessarily within your organization, these are the things you look for. Somebody who is dependable, who has great character, who is disciplined, who knows what it means to sacrifice. Because take, for example, I want to be like Madam Evie, for example. I'm a young intern in an organization. I don't necessarily have to go and, should I say, be on her face, dancing all around her. But imagine I pick her resume or I pick her story and I read about her, see how she's come all the way from the banking sector and all of that. And one question I asked myself is, she has been consistent all this while. How did she build consistency all this while? In that mood of consistency, she has also built character. So these are the things I'm looking out for. So I begin to read about Madam Evie. I begin to go, pick materials about her, not necessarily being in her face, because this is my belief. Who you are when you're writing, when you're speaking, when you're given is all given out. So I can get who you are from your write-up, from your speaking, your videos, and all that. And I begin to pattern myself. Imagine the way she dresses or he dresses. I want to look good that way. Okay, this is how executives dress. They're always prim and proper. They always appear like what Oga Oji pointed out about your personal brand. They always appear in certain ways. So I'm learning, I'm mirroring myself after them. And okay, this is how they talk. Even when you see them in a gathering, they are addressing a crowd and all of that, you are mirroring. Peradventure, you never can tell as you are following these things about them, the way, as we say, the universe works, you're brought into their cycle of influence. And somehow they're like, this person really looks like me in a way. Subconsciously, they are saying that now, and they begin to impart on you. So that's one way I see, for you to pick a mentor, not necessarily running into the person's face and putting yourself all over there and all of that. So that's that. I think, not to overflow the issue, this is how I see. If you want to pick a mentor within or without your organization to follow in their footsteps and grow within that frame, you go about it this way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Makri. And that's very apt. Shadowing these persons, you shadow them without being in their faces, read their books, key into programs that they're involved in and all of that. So thank you very much. And we'll be coming back to Mrs. Evie. Mrs. Evie, we would like to know the strategies. We have so many young persons in our midst today, so we'd like to know the strategies that individuals can use to identify and align with values, with standards, with behaviors that shapes the organizational culture for enriching their career prospect. This is because the first question you talked about mentioned about organizational culture and the impacts for career advancement. So we'd like to know what strategies can individuals identify to align with these values.
Sorry, I was muted. So we're still talking about navigating career dynamics. It's a journey, like Steve said, it's a journey, and Isoboye said it as well, that is a journey. You are in a position and you want to get somewhere, right? Now, I want to say that along your career journey, what you need is different. Good, what you need is different. And the kind of help you need is really different, and Isoboye said something to when he was presenting that we need to understand that we're in a sector that is highly stratified. You have to be patient. You have to grow. You have to take your time. You don't want to jump. Sometimes we meet young people and we're interviewing them and we say, oh, can you tell me about your 5-year career plan? And he tells you that I see myself as the MD of this company in 5 years' time. You know that that's not possible. It's not serious. You can be the MD of your own company if you set up an oil company and get a license, but you're not going to be the MD of Total Energies, because in 5 years' time, you are barely getting to the step of a senior engineer. Nobody is even going to give you a project to handle, okay? Unless that 5 years means you probably had a master's degree with some years of experience before you came and joined us, okay? Because it takes 10 to 15, 20 years to have a fully autonomous petroleum engineer who can take a project and run it himself. In the end, we're here to do business. We're not just here to gather together. We're here to make money. In this industry, we're here to make money. We're here to do business. So we must always have that at the back of our mind, that this is a business and we are part of a building block of that business. Do you understand what I mean? So when you position yourself, then it means that what you need and how you play at different level is different. When you come in as a young engineer, if you came straight out of school, what you play is playing to gather knowledge, playing to learn. You are not playing to belong. You are playing to learn. You are playing to bow down to develop your technical competencies. If you join mid-career like myself, you are playing to learn the organization. You don't focus on learning the job, you already know it. You are playing to understand the organization. You are playing to ask yourself, why was I hired? What do I have to offer? How can I make a difference? Do you understand what I'm saying? So depending on how you enter the system, like Dr. Steve in Seplat, he didn't start his journey there. He was hired in Seplat because there was something he was bringing on board. So the way he would play would be different than the young guy who just left university and joined Total. So in that, I hope you understand what I mean. So when you are young, you are playing to gather knowledge. As you progress, you are playing to collaborate. And for people to, because when you are young engineer, they give you your task, you do it, and you learn, you learn, you learn. As you progress, you find that you will begin to do teamwork as a peer, not as the person who does all the assignments. You are moving to joining to take little decisions in teams and being peers, and then leading subjects. So you then play to collaborate and get cooperation and complete, like Dr. Steve said. Then as you progress, you are becoming a leader. When you are becoming a leader, it's threefold: the up, your peers, and the down. All of them are important. You understand what I mean? So at that level, when you are becoming a team leader, the bosses, your peers, and down. And at that point, you begin to get into 360-degree feedback. If they're going to do any kind of survey, they want to see, how does your boss see you? How do your peers see you? How do the lower people see you? Then as you go up, you then begin to play to add value, to give back. At my level, I cannot be competing to do anything other to leave a legacy behind. So at each level, this is what really, if you say, how do I want to navigate who I am, this is what you do. So you must set your objectives depending on where you are in that phase of your trajectory and your journey, so that you can focus on the right things that can give you results. So that, I think that's just what I would say.
Wow.
I hope I've been helpful. Even myself,
Yes.
I was wondering, did I really understand this question?
Well, my take out for that is the growth doesn't happen overnight. From what you just said, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
There are ladders, there are processes, there are steps.
They are
And you
building
must-
blocks, and you
Yes.
build on top of each one. And
Yes.
you keep doing.
And you must submit yourself to learning
Mhm.
and to teaching, So, I mean, we can take that. And I hope we are all taking down notes and having the direction that we seek, So thank you, ma'am, for that. That was good. Dr. Steve, so I would like to ask you this question, sir. You talked about personal brand initially, but now we want to dive a little into networking. We want to know the tips for effective networking to stand out in a competitive environment. What are these tips?
Okay, so thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, sir.
I think that's why we're actually here. SPEs is part of networking, and being among your colleagues is very important to be able to learn from what others are doing. It helps you to actually gauge yourself. Remember when I was making my opening comment, I talked about having a growth plan.
Yes.
Having, and at the end of the day, reflecting to say, what have you done today? Rather than saying, what have I done today? You're actually saying, what have I learned today? Because every job that you do gives you an opportunity to reflect on how you are learning and how you are growing. So networking opportunities such as SPE helps you to do that. But while networking is very good for building relationships in such a way that you can easily say, hey, for example, if I have any issue, it's not difficult for me to call my sister Evie to say, what are you guys doing in your place, and vice versa. And so that's what networking brings, building relationships, in a way beyond work that almost may transcend beyond work. It becomes informal, you become a family, and people can share with you what they would not ordinarily share formally. But equally very important is in terms of if you want to commit a suicide, career suicide in that direction, is for you not to be giving, if you end up giving nothing. For example, as you are in SPE, for example, are you delivering technical papers, for example? It's not just for you to go there and say, I'm building friends, but what is the quality of value that you are bringing to enable people look for you and want to ask for you and want to connect with you? Because the reason people are looking for you and connecting with you is because of the value that you bring. And if we talk about that building block, whether it's 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience, what makes engineers is the quality of technical paper that they present. That people can say, hey, I am the one that developed something for this directional drilling. I'm the one that did this for that. I'm the subject matter expert for this. And you can go to the forums like SPE and share that expertise. And there's no better place to get counted positively. But at the same time, you can have that career limiting move if you go there and you are very shallow and you're not saying anything that is deep, that reflects deep thinking for you to come to the public in that kind of forum and be expressing yourself. People will actually, where is this person from? What company does he or she work for? So let's be intentional, when we go for this network. So network is good, SPE is good, but go there with a view to adding value and with a view to preparing to say, I'm a professional, and you are building your career in that direction. And as much as you are looking for people, others are actually also looking for you, based on the value that you add. So, and that is technical one. You can actually also say you have another network for non-technical skill, just like again, Evie talked about. When I was responding, I said, do you even have a Toastmaster club in your area? You know your limitations. You are trying to say, how can you improve in your communication and leadership skill? You can do that. You can join those kind of body as well. You're aspiring to be a future director, for example. Are you joining any association that can build you? Because you don't practice, you don't wait until you get to a position before you begin to practice. You use small opportunities such as these networking opportunities to practice. So it's not, to be a director is not an on-the-job training. You needed to have prepared yourself before you get there. How are you preparing yourself in the area of leading in that direction? How are you preparing yourself in the area of, the same network, for example? Where do you go to after work, for example? People have met great people as social clubs and organizations and others. So again, those people you are interacting with are those ones you can call on when it matters. So in all this, therefore, is that you really need to be intentional about the networks where you find yourself, but they need to be aligned to your own goal, professional goal, and making sure that you are deliberate around the choice of those network opportunities, not because you need to be all over the place, but because belonging to those associations lead you to somewhere where you want to really be. So back to you, Lydia.
Wow. Thank you, sir. I'm not surprised hearing these things from you. Thank you, sir. And these are very apt. It's not just about be everywhere. It's about providing solution, bringing value, adding value. It's about solving problems. Most especially what I've always learned from the beginning of my career, it is also about volunteering. It's one of the ways you can also network and get, you will learn and grow along, as Mrs. If he also said. So we'll just go straight to Mr. Amakri. Thank you. We're doing very well with time. Let's just continue with that. 3 minutes each for each questions. And for the participants in listening, you could use or you could use the chat button to drop your questions, or if you want to speak, you can use the raise hand button and ask your questions, and when it gets to that time, I will let you know. So you can start taking down your questions or drop them in the chat room and we'll take them up. Mr. Makri, please, what are the potential challenges that individuals may face in navigating their career dynamics? What are those potential, challenges that are common to be confronted with? And you may give us the, the tips on how to overcome them. Thank you.
All right, I will approach this question from my faith as a Christian.
Okay, so
there's a scripture that says, when you humble yourself, God gives grace to those who are humble, and he resists the proud. And that is one thing that faces a lot of us within the career, as in this industry. You want to build a career and all that, pride. When you feel, I made a first class, I went to Harvard Business School, you present yourself like you're the first person to do all of this. People have done all of that before. You need to humble yourself. You need to bring yourself intentionally, put yourself under to learn, because if you listen so far, the two speakers, my colleagues on the panel now, they've been hammering on something, learning. And the only way you can learn is when you humble to listen. Actually, you put yourself under to learn. So it is one thing that hinders a lot of us within this space, pride. You just feel like because you are brilliant, you're intelligent, no other person in the room is brilliant, no other person is intelligent. No, hey, take it easy, calm down. People have come before you, more people will come after you. So put yourself under, humble yourself to learn. Just like what Madam Edie said, for her, she wants to leave a legacy. So imagine now, it's a legacy. She wants to leave a legacy. She's not coming to learn the job. She knows the job. I'm learning the organization that I want to leave a legacy. So she looks at people who have gone ahead within this space or in our own organization that have left this legacy that people are always talking about. And it's like, what did they really do? What exactly did they really do? Okay, can I just lash or leverage on what they have done, speak to them, call them, learn from them? And just by listening to them and they telling you, I know she mentioned about the master class that they do when people are leaving, learn as in, please, can you come and share with us what you have done? I think the idea of that master class is to put together, should I say, a body of work, a body of knowledge that they will pass to the younger generation, or they also have the younger generation in that space, listening to these people, sharing their knowledge and their experiences on the job. So such an atmosphere, you have that outlook of humility. You're listening. So one way you can navigate is to be humble, to learn, to listen. No matter how brilliant you are, no matter the school you've gone to, no matter the programs the master degrees you have amassed and all that, hello, humble yourself, experience. There's nothing like experience. You don't learn experience from school. You learn experience by listening and getting your hands burnt. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. It's as if there was a meeting before this meeting, because the conversations are collaborating and validating each other. Like, it's so true. So my conclusion to this is submit yourself to learning, be teachable. You are not the most intelligent person in the room, so calm down and learn. Calm down, really. That is so apt. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Makwe, for that. Sorry. Finally, in just 1 minute, would like to know, ma'am, what are the tips for effective? Sorry, I think we took that. In 1 minute, sorry. What practical steps can participants take from the knowledge and the strategies that they have learned in this webinar? A lot has been said, a lot has been mentioned. Just one practical step that if they don't take in anything, they've not heard anything, what's that one thing that you want them to take out from this that they can apply and start learning and growing into to become what they they want to be. 1 minute, please,
Okay,
so that we'll round up.
yeah, I think one practical step will be start with yourself.
Good.
Okay, start with yourself. I started at the beginning to say that if you are not confident about yourself, other people will not be confident about you. So start with yourself and be honest to yourself, like Dr. Steve said. And when you have done your self-inventory, you will then say, from here, I came into this SPE webinar. This is who I was. And these are the things I've learned about myself. What am I going to do differently? What is going to change when I leave here? That's the last message I want to leave. Then do a plan about that thing. We have told you today it's possible. So I came in here, this is who I was. What have I learned about myself, gaps? What is going to be different? Let me tell you something. If you keep doing what you are doing the way you have been doing it, you will keep having the same results. A different result comes when you do things differently. That's why you must ask yourself after this webinar, what am I going to do differently? So I think in 1 minute, that's what I would say.
Thank you very much, Ma. Start with yourself, ask yourself questions, evaluate yourself, and have a plan. Thank you. Dr. Steve, please, in 1 minute, practical steps, sir, in 1 minute.
Thank you. I was actually in one session yesterday. If I can steal from there, it was an induction program for new professionals in HR. And the speaker actually talked about when you talk about all the intelligent quotients, emotional quotient, social quotient, she talked about relevance quotients. You have the relevance quotients. And that relevance quotient talk about understanding your customer. Do you know who your customers are, whatever you're doing? You talk about having an edge. It's training, building yourself, preparing yourself that gives you that edge. Why are you different? Why would they talk to you? That's relevant that you bring. You talk about technology. What technology are you adapting? What technology are you deploying? Because in this era where we are looking for efficiency and looking for ways to save costs in our organization, what can you deploy? I'm not looking depend on somebody else to deploy it, but you can deploy it for us. You talk about the service edge. What can you do that other people can do? What is it that will make your boss call you? I'm not saying it's a good thing to call you when you're on leave. They say, because they know that you are special in that direction. So say, can you help this guy? So again, most importantly, the last one in terms of relevance, innovation. What ideas are you bringing to the table? How are you? And if you made that point, what are you bringing today that is different from what you experienced yesterday? How can we be different? How can we win in the marketplace? And how can you contribute to that? So if you can make yourself relevant in these directions, in these different dimensions, then you win. You don't have to worry about how your career progresses because it will progress.
Thank you.
You have a difference. And that is the message I'm passing to people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Relevance quotient. I've got a new one. And to get that, to be relevant, of course, you have to upskill. You have to get all the information and submit yourself to learning. So those are the things we'll be talking about. So very quickly, Mr. Makri, what are the practical steps that you can leave with the participants?
Thank you. Practical steps. I'm not going to speak so much because Madam Evie and Oga Oji has just said everything, but I'm going to say this. Patience is a virtue. You have to be patient with yourself. Everything you want to do is time-bound, but listen, patience is a virtue. You want to get to that level, the ED level, the manager level, what have you. Patience, it's a virtue. Be patient with yourself as you're building, and don't think things are not happening, because photosynthesis, when we look at the process by which plants manufacture, blah, 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 there's what is called the dark phase of photosynthesis. Even at night, things do happen. So be patient with yourself. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. Thank you to the panelists. This has really been insightful and engaging, and I have learned. I'm sure the participants has also learned. Thank you to everyone that has listened. I will quickly hand over to the facilitator, but before I do that, I would like to leave us with this note. Even for the young people in our midst, mid-level, senior level, and top management, you know, as you find your way, as you decide today to navigate through your career journey, just change. Mrs. Evie said something. You want to achieve different results, you must re-strategize, you must do things differently. So just know that what you do over a period of time, you master the art of becoming. So you want to get new results or different results, start doing something different today so that the results you will get in the next 2, 5, 7 years to come will be amazing and exponential. So thank you, and over to you, Madam Tombari. Thank you,
Awesome.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, before you run along, my esteemed panelists, thank you very much, moderator. Thank you so much. We have a few questions. I think we're doing well on time. I promise that we're going to keep this short and succinct. And this is about the last activity. Can we take the photograph and we'll be done? But we have some questions. In fact, I even have a question. Right, so I would not ask mine first because I'm the uncle, but there's a question, and I would also want to ask the audience, if you're raising a question, if you can maybe let us know who you're wanting to ask that question, or let you giving me the liberty to do that. I will throw it at maybe anyone that will want to contribute. So one of the questions we have is from Blessing. Blessing actually says, what advice can you give to a young professional that is currently working but not in the career path or field that he or she desires? We're talking about navigating career dynamics, standing out. How do I even navigate from the point that I'm not even in the right place now, starting from where I really want to? How do we navigate that? So I'm not sure, but yeah, any of the panelists that feels they would like to respond to that, I would appreciate that.
Okay, I can start.
Yes,
So,
yes, please.
What is the good news is that the person knows what he or she wants. Sometimes a number of us get into careers who don't even know what we want, other than just to earn a paycheck. But this person understands that where I am now is not where I should be. But somehow the organization may have hired you in a particular area, and maybe I'm in HR. I say I want to get to somewhere else, and I share an experience that one of my colleagues had from HR. She wanted to be able to get to somewhere else, completely different from HR. So what did we do? We, in terms of structure of an organization, we had to find a way to put that in the individual development plan. We have to be able to begin to look for projects and assignment, cross-functional projects that involve that team where he or she had to go, so that she can begin to get involved and she begin to learn that, so that when you're actually going for interviews in that area, it's not completely new. And so over time, they began to know her there. And of course, that's where we talk about the importance of sponsor, who will speak for you when you are not there. So what kind of confidence do those people have in you to be able to speak for you? Because I understand where this person needed to get to. At my own level, I could facilitate that conversation. And because they have actually also seen her play in that space based on the projects and assignments that she has taken very seriously, then it was easier to be able to do that. In HR, we call it career crafting. How can you sometimes you say job enrichment, job enlargement. The third part is job crafting. How can you craft people's career to suit the strengths that they have? And you will deploy them in an organization to maximize that. It benefits the individual, it benefits the business. So I guess to respond to that question, therefore, is that you know where you need to go. Are you making that available to your skill pool manager or your manager to say, this is what you really want to? Are you finding time for them to make sure that it goes into your own development plan in the organization? Are you up for it, for example? And are you ready to get involved in projects that might be unfamiliar, where you are not afraid to fail, but you know that you're focusing on the lesson and the learning that will come from that adventure? That it may be so massive for you, but that you know that the organization will give you the resources to succeed. So I step back again to say, the great news is for the individual to understand where I am is not where I should be. And within your organization, that may have been the channel under which you came into that organization, but work with different stakeholders to navigate you through, to support you through to getting to where you should get to. It's not an automatic one to say, hey, well, I want to go from HR to go to commercial. Okay, put me there. No, why should they put you there? People need you to add value, or they need you to get there in steps. And you need to be deliberate in the journey you take to take you there. It may not be the same in every organization, but you need to understand it, share it with your supervisor, share with HR, share with your people manager, whatever structure you have in an organization. And together, all of them will walk you through to get to that destination. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. OJ. Thank you so much. Yeah, talk to somebody. The good thing is that you have realized that. Talk to somebody about it. And then hopefully we can work on career crafting and that works out. And I mean, the good thing, one thing I also picked up from what he said was the career goal. There must be clarity on your career goal. A lot of us here, I must admit, when we graduated from school, we felt it's work. Let's just get a job. There was no goal. But now you're in there, you now realize, oh, I shouldn't really be here. Where should I now be? Set a clear career goal and then work towards it. So thank you very much. I hope that was helpful to the person that asked the question. I don't even want to add anything. Otherwise, I'll just go to two more questions. I'll take two more questions and then we'll wrap it up. So there's another question that says, for someone who is dependable, as discussed today, and also willing to learn and builds themselves technically, but works in an environment that in so many ways demoralizes those efforts. So you are dependable, you're putting in all that it takes, but you feel you're not getting the support from the environment. What can they do? Yes, Mrs. Remy.
Yes, what can they do? You know, this is about the individual's feelings and their perceptions and how they see the environment supporting them. They've assessed themselves and they feel that environment, they're not getting the support that they need. Honestly, what we have discussed today are tools that are enablers for you. So you have started with yourself and you say, I have this, I am dependable, I work well, I have all these things. Why is it that my environment is not enabling me? Why am I in a demotivating environment? We talked about some other things. We talked about mentorship. We talked about sponsorship. We talked about seeking help. You understand? And that help may not come from your immediate hierarchical environment. It can be outside. Because it's a reality. It's some people's reality. Yeah? They have everything. They are working hard. They have everything. But, you know, Mr. Macri did say that organizations are political and we have to recognize that. And this is where your network, sponsorship, mentorship comes in. You cannot ignore the political aspect of an organization and then expect that just by working hard, you are going to get to the top, you know. So you need to also support your career by ensuring that you provide, you harness opportunities to get sponsorship, to get mentorship. So this is where you look around. And this is where you build your network. And this is where you make friends that help you. This is what networking is about. You know, you don't just wait, let the system do everything for me. You have to do some for yourself. You have to help yourself. You have to help yourself get into, so you look around and you look for help. Help where you can confide in your challenges in a non-judgmental way that will not affect you. Because if you go and seek help and the person goes to tell your boss that your staff came to report that you are not helping them, you are in big trouble. No, I'm a very practical person. So you then say, how can I get help? So you look around and you look for somebody to confide in. I'm talking about work-life balance, because this can create stress in the place of work. And this stress even makes some people to go into depression and break down, and we lose talent by that way. But sometimes everything cannot be done for us by the company. we have to do something for ourselves, because you are the one experiencing that demotivation. You are the one experiencing that you are being ignored. You are the one experiencing that your work is not recognized. There are experiences you are going through. So you need to seek help. This is where you calm down and you look, you shine your eye. Where can I get help? So when we talk about networking, it's in different phases. You need network of people who will help you in a situation like that. You also need network of people that will carry you in the movers and shakers. You need network of people that will help you deblock when your work is blocked. So networking is not just going for coffee, going for lunch, going for this. Networking is your support structure that will enable you when you need help to get that help and for you to keep climbing the journey. Because climbing a mountain is just a mountain, but is it easy? No. So anything you are climbing is not easy. That's why sometimes you need props. So now, what do I say? When you have that experience, sometimes that's why the HR department is there. And that's why I said, try and see how to use your HR department. Even if you feel one is wicked, look for the one you think is kind and say, I need help. They are trained to provide that. It's not as if they will solve the problem, but they can guide you on a process to follow. They can tell you, okay, advise you how you approach that subject with your second boss, the boss of your boss. They can help you craft your language. They can help you be very diplomatic in resolving that problem with your line manager. They can help you prepare a meeting where you can give your line manager feedback that you think your job is not being recognized. They can actually help you prepare for your annual appraisal. If you think you have worked and your work is not going to be recognized, they can help you do all of that because they are trained to know how to say, okay, this is how you put the facts of your job. This is how you are going to defend your dossier. You know, normally HR people are strong communicators, so they can also help you. So what I can say is seek help, and the help is not from one source. Anywhere you can get it, because you are the one who is feeling the pain. And don't be there with the pain, seek help.
Seek help from a trusted source. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ifekwe. Thank you so very much. Wow, my audience, I'm sure that this session could not have been held any better. To the last question before we wrap up this session, and then we have our SD, one of our SDs on the call, Engineer Dr. Georgie, will come in to appreciate the panelists and the keynote speaker for the time they spent with us. I want to ask this question, and I want to throw this to you, Mr. Amakri. So on this call, we've talked about, being authentic. I think that was Mr. Steve that mentioned it. You need to be authentic. You need to know yourself. And then on the same call, we've also said that look at somebody you want to emulate and, study how they work, study how they do their things. How are you able to differentiate between being authentic to yourself and emulating someone who you are aspiring to become, but you don't want to lose your own identity in the process?
Right. I knew you were going to throw
that was my question
at me. Yeah. All right. I'm going to answer this question like this.
And yes, just in 1 minute, sir.
Yes, 1 minute. How many of us know Larry King? A lot of us know Larry King, the king of talk. He's passed now. Growing up, I loved speaking. I just loved speaking and all that. And I wanted to who do I craft myself after? I'm authentic. I'm original, yes, but I need to. So I started following Larry King. I watched his program. I even went as far as knowing his real name, because you can't just see his name was Larry Zega, not Larry King. The King is his, what do you call it now, stage name and all of that. I love the way the guy handled talk shows, the way he presents himself and all that. So I stood in front of the mirror and I started to mimic Larry King, but I knew my style. I know how I want to speak, but I just love the way he composes himself. If he's on the show, you see the way he claps his hands, he puts his hands on the dashboard. He comes across with this confidence, and he boxes you in when he wants you. I want you to answer this question the way I want you to answer it, not the way you want to answer it. over the years, I started mimicking him, but all of a sudden I forgot about Larry King. It is Amakri Isoboye. When you hear me talk, when you hear me speak, somebody once told me, you speak like somebody who is from XYZ part of the world. I said, I've never been there. I've not traveled out of Nigeria, as in live outside, like go to the US or something. No, I've not been there. I just watched Larry King as a child and I patterned myself, but now I have my unique style. So that is how you build your authentic self. First of all, you must look at who is doing this thing in this field. Who is actually doing this thing in this field? I begin to follow in the footsteps of that person, not necessarily becoming that person, but becoming me in the frame of that person. And over time, the way life works, your true identity shines through. So it just comes through.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, our esteemed panelists. I would not do justice to giving the appreciation. I would want to quickly invite our section director to offer our thanks, our deepest appreciation to the audience and to the panelists for doing justice to the theme. And while he's done with that, we'll quickly take a quick photograph shot. Simeon, please get ready, and then we'll wrap up. So, Engineer Dr. George Iwo, please, over to you. Thank you. You're muted, sir. Yes, you're muted. Okay, Simeon, is that from your end? He's still muted. Is he able to mute?
George, you are muted. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And should I say panel, the panelists? I've so much looked forward to this program. And then I must say that it's not an error at all. When I saw the eloquent nature of the speakers and how they've gone, the keynote speaker, the panelists, and the way you have dissected this fact, it's actually a blessing. I'm sure that everybody that took part in this program will not go back the same. They have a sense of belonging to what actually it's all about, to have to navigate through their careers. It's a blessing to have you. I'm very particularly grateful to the keynote speaker for your dissecting, for a beautiful presentation. I'm particularly also, happy with our ED, all the way from Total Energies. Thank you, Madam Ifekwe. Well, I'm also particularly happy with the way the Seplat guy, Steve, did his own thing. It's like it's in the blood. You have it in the blood, both of you, and you were just giving it without looking at anything. And I think it's a great thing to have you. And my dear friend Amakri, I'm not surprised. When I saw your face on this panel, I said, no, I must come and watch you, and you really did justice. Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful that I am part of this audience. And for the audience that have stayed back, I saw the audience grew from 20, 30, 40 to 100 and over 100. That means that a lot are really interested in this navigating of career dynamics. And I'm sure they are all blessed by your presentation. Thank you so much, all of you. And we pray that we'll continue in this space. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Simeon, can we quickly take a quick shot? So you can please feel free to turn off your video at this point. We want to take a virtual photograph so we can capture the moment. Some of you are asking for the replay. I think the link is on YouTube. So Simeon, if you can do us the honors of dropping the YouTube link maybe on the chat box so that people can maybe catch replay. All right, Simeon, let me know when you're about to start and when you're done.
Okay. Some cameras still coming up, so first it's turning on their video.
Yeah, let's just take it the next 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. Simeon, are we done?
A few minutes more. Sorry. Okay. 5,
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And just before we close the session, we want to recognize, I've seen that we have some special friends in our midst, even some non-SPE members. You know, SPE, it's only in the SPE you can get things like this. I mean, I'm sorry, I belong to SPE. So if I say this, pardon me when I say that, right? So we invite you because there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of knowledge sharing that happens in SPE. We want to invite you to please join SPE. It's a unique body of knowledge and professionals where you can learn and where you can also network. We've learned today that network is not only about meeting people, but it's about giving out value so that people can look for you and want to be part of you. So thank you very much. So after this photograph, we just want to show, I also saw Engineer Ere. Engineer Ere, I saw you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's just talk a bit about SPE. Simeon, I'm just wrapping up. We just have about the SPE and then the closing remark will be done. So SPE, like I mentioned, I don't know if Simeon can put up that information so people can see. It's a place for oil and gas professionals. You don't have to be only an engineer. I mean, regardless, so you can, so long as you're in the oil and gas industry, and even so we have some people that are also not in the oil and gas industry as members or part of SPE. You can be part of it regardless of what you study. So we have students, we have graduate members, we have young professionals, and we also provide a lot of industry networking opportunities and platforms for people to be members of SPE. If you're not an SPE member, you can join today. Just drop a message to say, how can I join? And we will definitely let you know how you can join. We'll be glad to have you on board. All right, on that note, I want to call the section chair to please give the vote of thanks as we wrap up the meeting. I mentioned that we would be done hopefully before 2, and we kept it at that point. So thank you. Section chair, I would hand over to you for the vote of thanks, and then we call it a day. Oh yeah, Simeon, there's some questions on how to join in the chat group. Please, can we respond? Thank you. Section chair. Okay,
thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Madam Thornberry. Like I said in my opening and welcome remark, I knew that our very distinguished panelists would do justice to this topic. And I'm very sure that every one of us will have agreed with me that our ED, Madam Evi Ifekwe, Dr. Steve, and Mr. McCree done absolute justice to this topic. What else can we say than to join the session director to warmly appreciate the panelists and to all our SPE members for joining in this call. And I can see some of my colleagues from Total Energies. I saw the GMHR, Frank Ebong. I saw Madam Rubiano and many of our colleagues. Thank you for joining in this call. And for our SPE members, please keep to heart all the learnings. It should not just be what we come to hear, but we should put all these learnings into practice. Our membership is open just in case you're a member, but you have not renewed your membership. Please do well to renew your membership. And for non-members, our doors are open. Thanks for joining us. Keep in mind, one of the very strong feedback is network, network, and network. And like Madam Evi said, network is your support structure. I mean, that was too strong. Network is your support structure that you will activate when you have need for it. So on this note, I'd like to thank every one of us, the facilitator, the moderator. Thank you very much. All of you did excellently, very well at this Kara webinar. Thank you and a very beautiful good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Section Chair, and thank you very much, our esteemed and distinguished panelists and audience. Thank you for making this possible. Have a great day and a fantastic weekend. Bye for now. Bye.